As we get ready for the grand finals, once again, a quick reminder of our players and their accomplishments as well. Dylan is a regional champion. He won the Roanoke Regional Championships back in 2018, 7 years ago. Started the season off quite hot with the top 8 finish at the Monterrey Regional Championships over in Mexico as well. He's got a couple top 4s to his name as well. And Zachary Weed has been on a tear. A lot of really impressive accomplishments just over the course of the last 2 seasons. Like I mentioned, he is a name that I think has really popped up in my head as someone who is consistently very, very strong, but hasn't made it to even top 4, right? And so here he is in the finals. He's looking to get that first regional championship. And I'm really excited as, of course, quick reminder of their teams. Dylan here is running that classic core. Porygon 2, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Ursaluna, Golden Go, and the Kilowattrel is kind of the hidden gem that completes it, offering you a fast Tailwind option to complement the Trick Room option from Porygon 2. Yeah,
one thing I want to point out here is that the Ursaluna has the Ghost Terra here, which I don't think we've seen as much on stream today. We've seen a lot of Terra Fairy, but this Terra Ghost is going to be very instrumental against Zach, who has 2 Fake Out users, and also the Sneasler, who will struggle to hit a Ghost-type Pokemon. So I think this Terra could be very, very relevant, especially since it is one of the strongest attackers over on Dylan's side. Everything else looking relatively standard for this kind of team. We see the Golden Go actually having the Life Orb item, which is different from the one that won the Brisbane Regional Championships, which was very, very bulky. I actually remember them saying on social media it was trained to survive a Shadow Ball from Life Orb Goldengo. So this one is probably going to be a little bit faster and a little bit frailer.
Yeah, and I think, Golden Go is fundamentally a very good Pokemon into the Sneaslers that don't have that Brochop, and this one doesn't, right? And so it can be something that can exert a lot of offensive pressure into Sneasler. Sneasler's got that Grassy Seed, you've got Dire Claw, Close Combat, Acrobatics. None of those moves actually hit Golden Go for a lot of damage, but Zachary's got a lot of other Pokemon on his team that can do a lot of damage to Golden Go. You've got King Gambit, you've got Basculegion. The Rillaboom Sneasler combination is always one to watch out for. Zachary has piloted it super well throughout the course of this event, and one of the things to pay attention to is Sneasler might force some Terras, right? But if you force those Terras out, Rillaboom often can take advantage of the Water Terras from the Pokemon like Amoonguss, for example. You've also got the Incineroar, but you do have to be a little bit careful about bringing Incineroar when there's competitive Kilowattrel on the opposing team.
Other than that, the Kilowattrel, the Incineroar actually looks really good, right? Like, in order for the opponent to get up Trick Room safely, they like to go for Fake Out, they like to go for Rage Powder. This Incineroar has the capability to dodge both of those and get off a Taunt. So this feels kind of like the Annihilate-like Pokemon for Zach's team that could be pretty useful into Trick Room. But as you said, Aaron, definitely have to watch out for the Kilowattrel. Do not want to give it free boost for nothing.
Yeah, and I think part of this is Ursaluna can just do a lot of damage, especially if Tailwind is set up next to it as well. So one way you could deal with Kilowattrel is, like, if you go Rillaboom and Sneasler, then suddenly you threaten with Fake Out or just Grassy Glide, and then you can try to get some damage off with the Sneasler as well. It is still tricky though, because I'm not sure you're going to be able to get a one-hit knockout or combine your damage for it. But we're going to get started with the finals. It's going to be Sneasler and Basculegion from Zachary. Kilowattrel hits the field alongside the Ursaluna, so Tailwind pressure is up right now.
Yeah, really aggressive leads from both players. Both players have a balanced team where they have Rillaboom, they have Incineroar, but they're just opting to lead with full offense. Sneasler and Basculegion, both incredibly fast Pokemon. On the other hand, Ursaluna very slow, but Kilowattrel able to support it with the Tailwind. And thanks to the Focus Sash, even though the Basculegion should be trained faster than the Kilowattrel is basically guaranteed to be able to get up a Tailwind right now.
Yeah, you can see Dylan's contemplating this potential defensive play of switching into Amoonguss, right? And part of it is Amoonguss is actually quite good into both of these, as long as you're not getting hit by something like a Flying Terra Acrobatics immediately. Instead, opts to just go for the double protect. This is a really common play that you'll see players go for when they are up against a choice Pokemon like Basculegion, because you get to see what Basculegion locks itself into, right? A lot of the times you might be expecting a Wave Crash, but early on in the games, Flip Turn is very common, can break Focus Sash, can chip away as well. Terra actually committed immediately, so now this does open yourself to be weak to Thunderbolt from Kilowattrel. You haven't had that on Burden activate yet.
Yeah, and no downside for Dylan to go for the double protect here, since the Sneasler has no opportunity to set up. Let's see the Basculegion going for the flip turn. So yeah, Dylan getting what he wanted, getting that information on what the Basculegion is going to lock itself into. So yeah, Ursaluna most likely not going to get KO'd by that, so that's some good information. And yeah, how do we proceed from here? The Kilowattrel is going to be able to get up a Tailwind this turn. Does Dylan want to commit the Terrestrialization to not get KO'd by the Sneasler and the Basculegion combination?
Yeah, it was interesting because I think what Zachary was also going for is, my Sneasler's slower than your Kilowattrel, but if I flip turn, I bring Rillaboom out, then Grassy Seed activates, and now I'm faster. However, what's really scary is this Ursaluna now, right?
Yeah.
Part of the advantage of going for that double protect is obviously you get to scout out for Basculegion, but the other added effect is now Flame Orb is active. This Ursaluna now has insane KO pressure, right? It can secure a one-hit knockout onto basically anything on Zachary's team. And so Dylan making a heads-up play here, saying, I'm going to switch in the Incineroar. You got 2 physical attackers. I know you're locked into flip turn, so the offense from your Masked Legion is relatively weak. I think this is a really smart play, and the Ghost Terra on Ursaluna just make sure, like, you're really not going to take that much damage this turn.
Yeah, I think the respect that Dylan wanted to give was, okay, if you're going to flip into a Rillaboom, then you actually have the opportunity to KO my Kilowattrel before it can attack. So I'm going to switch out. But yeah, the switch order there was really interesting, right? Because the Incineroar came before the Kingambit, meaning the Kingambit did not get the Defiant boost, which is really, really critical. And now the Ursaluna actually not in the best of position since the Ghost Terastallization was baited out, going to be threatened by the super effective damage by the Kingambit. As we see the Masked Legion go for the flip turn, not opting to break the Focus Sash on the Kilowattrel slot and get some damage onto the Ursaluna. Going to pivot, having to decide between their 4th Pokemon and Sneasler. We see the Rillaboom come out here, so yeah, in a pretty favorable position against the Ursaluna and threatening a potential fake out onto the Incineroar. Let's see what the Ursaluna goes for. Goes for the Facade, so yeah, good switch in to take that, but still doing a respectable amount of damage.
I think a really nice defensive turn by Zachary there. It looked really scary after turn 1 because suddenly you've got the Ursaluna. It is active, right? And so if it was a Facade into the other slot or a Headlong Rush, that could have just been an immediate knockout. But like you said, Yuki, you have baited out that Terra now, and Ghost does not like going up against Dark-type attacks, and so this Kingambit now is exerting pressure. By bringing out the Rillaboom, you also have Fake Out pressure, so you could go for something like Fake Out plus a Sucker Punch. As a result, Dylan, you can see, is trying to make this defensive pivot. Let me just protect Ursaluna. Amoonguss is now going to be in a really good spot. Amoonguss actually kind of a difficult Pokemon to deal with, right? Because if you get it on the field, like the one immune to Spore is Rillaboom, but you can just ignore that slot and keep sporing the Kingambit slot.
Yeah, let's see if Zachary calls us out and goes for that really aggressive Swords Dance play this turn. We see the passive play from Dylan, wanting to set up that Amoonguss this turn. Does Zach see through it? We see the Fake Out going into the Amoonguss, formerly the Incineroar slot. Oh, but we see the Sucker Punch. So yeah, Dylan getting exactly the position he wanted, as you said, Aaron. Now the Kingambit is ready to go.
Yeah, so this turn is interesting because there's the decision to potentially go for a Spore, or you could Rage Powder. Now, Wood Hammer, of course, wouldn't be affected by that Rage Powder, so you'd still do a lot of damage there. And so, yeah, you could Spore in, switch back out. The tricky thing here is, well, if you switch into the Incineroar, you would give a Defiant boost off. You probably don't want to do that, so you can see the hover potentially to Kilowattrel. It's interesting because, like, Kilowattrel, should it switch in, will have its Sash very likely broken, and if your Sash is broken, then you're just one attack away from getting knocked out. It's a little bit harder to execute, and so yeah, this turn is still quite tricky, but I think Dylan is in a position to start putting in a lot of work with the Amoonguss supporting the Ursaluna here.
But there is a lot of Engabugi on Zachary's side. He has to consider, is he going to go for Rage Powder and attack, or switch and go for Spore? And it's not super easy to cover for both. If you protect Kingambit, anticipating that Spore, your Rillaboom could go down here. So let's see what happens. We go for the Rage Powder from Dylan, trying to protect that Ursaluna from Kingambit's attacks. Let's see what Zachary goes for. He goes for the high horsepower, ignoring the Rage Powder, and we see the Ursaluna outspeeding the Kingambit, getting that Facade one-hit knockout onto the opposing Rillaboom. What does the Kingambit go for? Does it attack, or does it go for the setup?
It's going to be just Kowtow Cleave, and crucial, actually, high horsepower there. Probably some of you are wondering why that instead of a Wood Hammer, but we know that Dylan, of course, has that Incineroar in the back, and so I think we're trying to get around the option of Incineroar just switching in, but Dylan makes a really nice play here and ends up just getting a knockout and advancing his position quite nicely in this match.
Yes, and crucially, the only Pokemon that Zachary had that would be immune to Spore is gone. So as long as Amoonguss can make it through a turn, it is going to be able to, threaten a Spore. So really good position for Dylan, right? Like, you can threaten Spore and you can threaten a knockout. Like, you have 2 Pokemon really set up for success here. So Zach might have to start making some hard reads to get back into this game.
Yeah, I think this turn is really interesting because you do threaten, of course, with the Flying Terra Acrobatics, for example. The Kingambit, however, is slower than Ursaluna, as you called out, and so that's a big problem because, yeah, you could just Rage Powder and trade this turn, right? And so, to me, it's a question of, do you potentially read into a Protect? If Zachary protects the Pokemon that Ursaluna's going to target, you get a big advantage. Like, the downside for Ursaluna here is I can't just click Earthquake freely. The grassy terrain is up, Sneasler's Flying Terra as well. And so if you end up, for example, going for a Headlong Rush into Kingambit, Kingambit protects, Sneasler knocks out Amoonguss, suddenly it can be really awkward. So then the alternative could be to try to Facade into the Sneasler. So Dylan has to make a decision here. Looks like he wants to go for that Headlong Rush. And Kingambit does not protect here.
All right, let's see the Rage Powder going to try taking the attacks from the opposing side. Acrobatics coming out with the Terastallization boosted. Most likely going to get that knockout onto the Amoonguss. So Amoonguss down for the count, but it reaped the able to give the benefits to Ursaluna, protecting it from the attacks. Ursaluna going for the Headlong Rush into the Kingambit, getting that knockout, and yeah, trading effectively, and it's going to be a 3v2.
Okay, so Zachary, however, does have like really fast Pokemon in this endgame, right? Like you have the Umbird and Sneasler, you're gonna get the Basculegion out as well, and one of the advantages of the Ursaluna tearing means that you could consider locking into that last respects as an endgame. However, that, you know, into an Incineroar might not feel the absolute strongest. Incineroar is going to be great from an Intimidate perspective, right? But it's not going to necessarily be able to move first if it doesn't go for that fake out. And so you are threatened by a lot of offense here. I think the tricky thing for Zachary, though, is that you do have to commit to locking into an attack.
I think I like this potential swap into Kilowattrels because, yeah, because the Focus Sash is still intact, you have to dedicate 2 attacks into it, and if you do that, then the Ursaluna can knock out your Sneasler, and yeah, if you try to protect your Sneasler, then the Kilowattrel can still go for a knockout onto the Basculegion. So yeah, really, really good foresight to keep that Focus Sash over on Dylan's side. So I don't really see how Zachary can get out of this turn without losing 1 Pokemon, and it's just going to be like another trade of, you know, going from 4v3 to 3v2 and maybe down to, you know, 2v1.
Yeah, so seeing like the protect option here, saying I have Focus Sash, I want Incineroar on the field so I can fake out your Sneasler next turn, Thunderbolt, guaranteed the knockout onto Basculegion. It's going to be Dire Claw into the protect. Let's see if it's the last respects lock in the Basculegion into Ursaluna. It is going to be that. So Dylan's going to give up a free knockout here, but now you get the Incineroar in for free. Now Dylan, of course, this last turn could have pivoted an Incineroar to take that last respects, get an Intimidate off, but then you risk, of course, maybe a Wave Crash lock, for example. And so Incineroar now going to be able to come in, going to be able to get an Intimidate off, so you can pretty easily go for something like Fake Out into the Sneasler slot and just go for a Thunderbolt, for example, into the Basculegion.
However, I think Zach definitely still not out here, has the opportunity to, yeah, because the protect happened on the Kilowattrel, the Basculegion is still around, so it is a 2v2. Yes, the Incineroar can fake out the Sneasler, but that means that the Basculegion has the opportunity to get rid of the Focus Sash on the Kilowattrel first. So that means, yeah, the Sneasler may be able to get through a 2v1 if it gets a little bit of luck, either with a critical hit on the close combat into the Incineroar, or maybe some Dire Claw sweeps.
Yeah, we'll see. And like, it does have the Grassy Seed, right? So it is bulky. Last Respects comes out into the Kilowattrel. I think Fake Out Thunderbolt is kind of just like the safe play here, and you force it to be a 2v1 situation. The next turn, Dylan also theoretically could go for a Protect, of course. And the Basculegion survives! Oh my goodness!
Big survival.
That's absolutely huge. I think that puts Dylan in such a difficult position. I didn't think there was any chance that was going to survive there.
Wow, yeah, Basculegion having a very high HP stat, but not really that high of a defense, so definitely not expected. But yeah, the tables have turned. Basculegion still the fastest Pokemon on the field, and now I think, yeah, Dylan has to make a read. Is Basculegion going to double with the Incineroar so that we guarantee the knockout, or is it going to go after the Kilowattrel here?
Yeah, it's like you could theoretically always just double up, I think, into the Incineroar slot with Last Respects Close Combat. It is the Close Combat coming out first here. That does so much damage. And now the Basculegion will guarantee attack off. I think Zachary just having the faster Pokemon here should end up winning. It's going to be the double up indeed into the Incineroar. So yeah, Kilowattrel gets to get 1 knockout, but I think we're going to see the Basculegion clutch it out here thanks to that 1 HP.
Wow, that was one of the most crucial survivals that I don't think anybody
expected, right?
Like, maybe even Zachary didn't expect that. Like, oh, I'm not sure if that's a calculation that I ran before, but it totally reversed the tables. And yeah, here again, the speed matters so much with the Basculegion being able to attack first, able to close out this game for Zach.
Look how low that Basculegion is. So menacing. Last Respects come out, and Zachary Weed will go up 1-0 against Dylan. He is 1 game away from winning his first ever VGC championship.
Yeah, so Zachary started off the game with the 2 strong Pokemon, and yeah, through some defensive pivoting, was able to preserve it to the very end so that they were able to shine through, especially with the Sneasler getting that Unburden boost. So yeah, how does Dylan combat this? Like, if he anticipates Zachary to use a little bit more of his frailer Pokemon, maybe opting to go for the Porygon to get that the Trick Room going to, yeah, whittle away at Zachary's resources early on.
Yeah, I honestly really like how both players played that, right? It was really, really, really tense, and
yeah.
Like, I'm wondering how different it ends up playing out if the Thunderbolt does end up getting the knockout. Then it feels like this 2v1 where then you can like safely protect the Kilowattrel and then Flare Blitz, then maybe they end up protecting on the opposing side. But either way, that's one of the clutchest survivals I've seen in a very, very long time. And so, I mean, Dylan's Ursaluna still looked like an absolute monster in that game, right? And it's like the Ghost era, we were like, okay, it does open up the weaknesses to Last Respects and, of course, to the King Gambit. But the Amoonguss being able to hit the field just at the right time actually protected the Ursaluna so well. And the fact that Ursaluna is faster than King Gambit means that it's actually not the easiest to use effectively.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I felt like over here we thought, oh, Dylan's actually really in the driver's seat, right? We have the Ursaluna set up with the Flame Orb, we had the Amoonguss in position, Rillaboom is gone, so there's no Spore immunities on the opposing end. Like, Dylan's set up for success, but, you know, able to turn it around by making some trades that, yeah, we looked unfavorable at first, but thanks to that big survival at the end, helped Zach clutch it up. Maybe Dylan considers, okay, maybe playing a little bit slower and not going for the Ursaluna, you know, trades, but more going for the spores and buying some more time. You know, even with like a one-turn sleep, you might be able to reposition and get some, yeah, good positioning going. And if you get lucky, then that might seal the game. You know, just a one-turn, three-turn sleep could seal the game over for Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one thing to think about here is, okay, why did I end up losing that end game? It's like I had to go up against two Pokemon that were really fast against me, and the speeds weren't working in my favor. So maybe instead of opting for the Tailwind route or going with Kilowattrel, you can go for the Trick Room, as you were talking, Yuki. Porygon 2 is actually not like bad as an offensive option into this matchup either, with that Fighting Terra Blast and Ice Beam. So running it back here, we've got the Basket Legion King Gambit and Incineroar Porygon, but that means a little Defiant Boost goes over to that King Gambit. Yeah,
as you talked about, making that adaptation to go for the Trick Room mode, but that comes at a cost with the King Gambit getting that Defiant Boost. Porygon 2 also getting a boost in special attacks, so both sides getting boosted up a little bit, but yeah, it's hard to say which one is favored. Like, the Basket Legion is threading a lot of damage onto the Incineroar, but so is the Porygon 2 with that Terra fighting Terra Blast. The King Gambit having the Fire Terra able to position and, yeah, be a little bit more defensive, but there's a lot of ambiguity here.
There totally is, Yuki, and it's like, part of Dylan probably wants to go for that Fighting Terra on Porygon because then you've got that Terra Blast, but then the Incineroar here is still threatened by a Wave Crash from Basket Legion, right? It will do a ton of damage here. And the other question is with Basket Legion, like, you know that Trick Room might be getting set up right now, right? You can pressure Fake Out into King Gambit. This is the thing, Grass Terra, I really like this decision, and it's actually going to be the knockoff and Terra Blast. Oh, wow, no Trick Room here.
Whoa, this is so out of left field. Like, the Terra Fighting could have been a defensive Terra too, right? Because you take less damage from the Kowtow Cleave, but opting instead for the Incineroar, wanting to preserve it from a potential Wave Crash. So let's see what the players locked into here.
Is it Terra King Gambit? Yeah, let's see. Oh, it is! So Dylan goes for knockoff and Terra Blast. If that King Gambit did not Terra, if it just protected, it would be a nightmare for Dylan, but Dylan gets the read right on turn one.
It would take like maybe 15% from 2 attacks, but now that's Terra Fire, it's going to take 2 neutral hits from this knockoff and the Terra Blast. So flip turn, also great Terra over from Dylan's and taking much, much less damage from that flip turn. Yes, Zachary's still able to reposition, but this King Gambit is about to take a lot of damage.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about Trick Room here, but Dylan decides to actually just go on the offensive. I'm curious to see how it'll end up playing out though, because now Sneasler does hit the field, close combat on a Porygon is
really well positioned.
Exactly. So knockoff here into the King Gambit slot, really solid damage, crucially getting rid of that Black Glasses as well. Terra Blast coming out. You can see the speed order here, right? This is actually partially why Dylan did not want to go for Trick Room. Just going to be a Kowtow Cleave here into the Incineroar slot, but because of that Grass Terra, you actually do very reasonable damage. Now the King Gambit can threaten with, of course, a Sucker Punch into the Incineroar. Sneasler could close combat into Porygon. Dylan to counter-event that could, of course, switch out the Incineroar. Could consider the Trick Room here right now as well with Porygon 2, but then you risk potentially eating up like a close combat and a King Gambit Kowtow Cleave into that slot.
Yeah, the turn was so exciting because it sounded like, you know, Dylan read Zachary, like, you know, by the book, right? Like, reading where the Basket Legion would attack, reading that the King Gambit would terastallize as well, but now it seems like it's a little bit flipped. Like, Zachary's threatening a knockout on both Incineroar and to the Porygon. Porygon not being able to terastallize defensively anymore. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Sucker Punch going into Incineroar. So, yeah, the Incineroar very much threatened, could have easily switched out, but Zachary's saying, nope, I think you're going to stay in and try to get some more damage out, and calling it out perfectly. What is going to happen from this Sneasler here? Is it going to be the close combat? It's going to be a Dire Claw. Let's see. Is there going to be any secondary effects happening here? Oh, the poison. Porygon 2, the bulky Pokemon, not really appreciating that at all. It's going to fire back with the Trick Room, so setting up that Ursaluna or an Amoonguss in the back, but at what cost?
Poison is probably at least the best condition you could roll if you had to pick, because if it's sleep, it's a complete disaster. If it's paralysis, 25% chance to just get parried immediately. So Zachary there does end up just going for what is like kind of the safe Sucker Punch, saying, I do not want your Incineroar to get an attack off. If you switch out, so be it. And I think recognizing, hey, like maybe either your like close combat's not going to knock out your Porygon anyway, I might as well fish for a status condition because getting it could be game winning on the spot. So now Amoonguss has hit the field, and Trick Room has been set up, right? And so this is actually still, I think, pretty spooky for Zachary. It's like, you're really low with King Gambit, your Sneasler, like, can't Terra anymore. Basculegion is basically a liability under Trick Room. So the question is, what is Zachary's final Pokemon? You would expect it to be that Rillaboom. Rillaboom would, of course, give you that Spore immunity, but Porygon plus Amoonguss is looking mighty dangerous right now. Yeah,
really good switch for Rillaboom here if Zachary has in the back and protecting the partner. Yeah, even if Dylan reads that and goes for a double in that slot, most likely going to be able to make it out of the turn, and then thanks to Fake Out support, probably going to be able to get through the Trick Room a lot easier. But did he go for the Incineroar instead? And that could be, you know, it could not be a lot less consistent. Let's see what happens. The Rillaboom does come out here. Okay, so does the King Gambit protect here? That could be a pretty big difference in terms of how much Pokemon Zachary can still keep in the back through this Trick Room. We see the Spore going into the Rillaboom. No Protect coming out from the King Gambit. Kowtow Cleave going before the Porygon 2, doing a lot of damage. Terra Blast in retaliation, gonna knock out this King Gambit, but Porygon 2 gonna be slowly whittled away even through the grassy terrain. Yeah, that was a huge play, right? To be able to get an attack off with King Gambit at however low HP it was amazing, because now the Porygon 2 is significantly weaker. I'm actually curious if it might just be in a Grassy Glide KO range. And if that's the case, it can't go for a recover, right? If you're not able to heal up with that Porygon, that's a big deal. And so part of why Zachary may have prioritized saying, I really want to get rid of this Incineroar, is so that you now don't have the Intimidate threat. 2 physical attackers out on the field. And yeah, I mean, I think getting that Kowtow to Porygon was absolutely huge. Yeah, I guess my question now is, like, if you are Dylan, do you want your Porygon 2 to be knocked out here? Because let's say Ursaluna switches in for the Amoonguss, which might take a Fake Out here. The Ursaluna would get the Flame Orb active, and Rillaboom and Basculegion, neither of them have Protect. So maybe you actually do want to get back to your last 2 Pokemon and really make use of the last few turns of Trick Room. Yeah, the Rillaboom looks so good though, right? We know there's Ursaluna in the back, and like Terra has already been committed on the Incineroar. Like, it was so huge that Kowtow Cleave went into the Incineroar on turn 1, right? We were like, whoa, like Dylan got it, but then like Zachary actually also made a great play, and being able to eliminate Incineroar early on in this matchup is so big. So Ursaluna now hits the field on Dylan's end. It's actually going to be the Fake Out into the, what was the Amoonguss slot. Ice Beam comes out, wow, okay, and so not an Aqua Jet from the Basculegion. Is there a freeze? No freeze. Flip Turn's going to come out, and that's going to be a knockout. But Porygon actually could have had the potential to go for a recover there. Right, and with this Ursaluna not, being damaged this turn, going to be able to act, or taking very minimal damage from the Fake Out, likely going to be able to survive the Grassy Glide next turn, and with Flame Orb active, really threatening a lot of damage into the Rillaboom slot, which cannot protect. However, there is a Basculegion in the back, which can negate all the damage coming out from Facade, so still a little bit of mind games here, but yeah, that Sneasler slot is susceptible to Spore, so it's all going to be about, can Dylan make the right reads here in the last few turns of Trick Room? Because as soon as Trick Room expires, your Pokemon are the slowest. Yeah, it's so tense right now. Dylan fighting for tournament life. Double checking, there's 2 turns of Trick Room left right now. So I think two is great, right? Yeah. You don't want 1 left, but it is scary. We're going to see the option to go for a Protect here. So Rillaboom can't Protect, right? And so it can go for a Wood Hammer onto Ursaluna, which is really threatening. You could also just Grassy Glide, potentially. But Grassy Glide, won't knock out the Ursaluna. You see Dylan hovering for the Spore here into the Sneasler, and Rillaboom actually pivots out. So does Sneasler protect this turn? That's the big question here, and the Basculegion coming in, going to take the Facade. That will not do the necessary damage here. Ursaluna going to protect. And do we see the Sneasler protect? This is the big turn. If the Spore goes in, okay, it could take an attack next turn, but now there's another mind game. Which side does the Rillaboom come into? Yeah. That could take the Headlong Rush. It can also take the Spore, and it's the last turn of Trick Room. Dylan has to make the most of it. Yeah, and so what Zachary is trying to do is saying, okay, like, Rillaboom, once Trick Room ends, I can just Wood Hammer into your Ursaluna slot. That Ice Beam damage was actually really huge, right? Because Ursaluna can, like, protect itself, and the Amoonguss actually can deal damage with Pollen Puff. This is a key turn for Dylan. Like, the Facade and Spore here feels like it can be pretty safe, but then what if the Basculegion pivots out right now into Rillaboom and eats up the Spore? I guess from Zachary's perspective, you don't want to, like... Do you risk throwing away your Rillaboom? Right, because that alone can take down the Ursaluna. Yep. But then, Dylan can still protect the Ursaluna, and then the Amoonguss can do some, like, Pollen Puff. And Grassy Terrain is also expiring as well, and so this turn feels really tense because Zachary has the 2 really fast Pokemon on the field, and he just protected, and so Dylan has what I say is, like, a relatively safe play. So Zachary knows he's going to give up a lot of resources here.
Sneasler does end up switching out.
So going to get the Rillaboom and saying, yeah, I think you're going to spore that slot. I think you're going to maybe go for a headlong rush in that slot, but calling it correctly, going for the spore into the Basculegion slot. So Basculegion guaranteed to not attack this turn. Ursaluna going for the Facade, KOing these Rillaboom here, but the Sneasler will come back in and be able to get an attack off. And now it's another mind game. Does the Amoonguss protect? Does it go for Rage Powder? Does this Basculegion wake up? There are so many moving variables here.
Yeah, and the other awkward thing for Basculegion is, like, you are up against an Ursaluna, so normally you want to click that last respects, but hey, if you lock in a last respects, Ursaluna is like, I can just wall you, but the question here is, like, let's say you wake up, if you last respects one-shot Amoonguss, then Sneasler close combat goes off into the Ursaluna as well, so this feels so tense right now. Dylan will be able to likely just get a one-hit knockout onto either of these two Pokemon with his attacks, and so just opting for the Rage Powder here, that makes the most sense. You do not want to eat up a close combat and just lose the tournament off that.
So let's see what move does Zachary lock into with the Basculegion. Does it even wake up? If it doesn't wake up, it could be the end of Zachary's Dylan's tournament here. So let's see what happens here.
This is
so
the turn. Okay, here we go. Rage Powder to start off from Amoonguss. That will redirect the close combat away, should there be one. Basculegion does stay asleep. Okay, you can see Dylan's hoping Acrobatics doesn't get the knockout. It absolutely does not. And Dylan now should be able to force this to go to a game 3. You'll get a knockout in return. And the next turn, you can just go for Rage Powder and get the knockout. Afterwards, Headlong Rush here, targeting the Basculegion. And this time, it does not survive with 1 HP.
Yeah, I don't think we can count on anything after it survived that Kilowatt with Thunderbolt. But yeah, definitely not enough for this Guts boosted Headlong Rush. And yeah, really good. Props to Dylan to use the Trick Room terms very effectively. It looked a little bit dire, so to speak, once the Porygon 2 got the Poison Afflicted onto it, and it came down to 2 very slow Pokemon. But yeah, thanks to getting that really crucial read correct on which slot the Rillaboom would switch into, able to get that crucial Spore off and that 2-turn sleep.
Yeah, the main thing I was thinking about there is if you are Zachary, what you're hoping for is like 1-turn wake up and the last respects goes into Amoonguss. Like, it doesn't feel good to lock into, but you need to knock out Amoonguss to clear the path for Sneasler into Ursaluna, but it ends up not even waking up, and so Dylan just ends up, securing it from here. And so you can go for very easily, Rage Powder into Facade. And the Ursaluna's damage output is absolutely nuts here, right? Like, it threatens like a one-hit knockout with that Flame Orb activated onto everything. Sneasler, of course, also not having that Flying Terra makes Acrobatics so much weaker, and so Dylan really doing a fantastic job in this one. Acrobatics comes out, knocks out Amoonguss, but Ursaluna is still standing healthy, and we are about to go to a game 3, ladies and gentlemen.
Such a great set so far, and I feel like it's really going to come down to, does Zach bring Incineroar and does Dylan bring the Kilowattrel in retaliation? Because the Incineroar would have been perfect there, right? Like, it would have been able to reduce the Ursaluna's attacks. If it has the ability to Terra Grass, it would be able to be another immune to Amoonguss, which is very helpful there, right? Like, because Rillaboom was the only Pokemon that was immune to Spore, there was a lot less mind games that Dylan had to do. He just had to get that 1 turn correct. So if you can have more Spore immunities, it could be very, very helpful. But if you bring it, and if you bring it at the wrong time, then the Kilowattrel can get boosted, and that could be the end. So I don't know, Aaron, what do you think either player's going to do on that one?
It's so tense. I mean, the main question I have here is, like, the Basculegion did not feel that great in this one, right? Yeah. It's basically like Basculegion, amazing if Trick Room isn't set up. If Trick Room is up, Basculegion feels so bad, right? Like, it is just bait for Spore. You're not able to threaten with a knockout often because you're just going to be moving last, and often you'll just get KO'd, right? Dylan has a lot of things to threaten it for knockouts, like that Headlong Rush, like that knockoff, and Spore, of course, will be disruptive as well. And so, yeah, to your point, Yuki, it's like, does Dylan just stick with the same 4? Trick Room looked really great in that one. That turn 1 play also, man, just doubling full conviction into King Gambit. King Gambit actually going for that Terra. You know that he was relieved when he saw it come out, because if it's a Protect there, or if it just doesn't Terra, it feels like a complete nightmare. But Dylan, down 1 game earlier, finds the plays, and it was just so tense back and forth. But yeah, Ursaluna's damage output is insane here. So I think it's like Zachary could be like, okay, I'm going to drop Basculegion. That was not good in Trick Room mode. Let me bring in Incineroar. And then to your point, Yuki, Dylan could be like, okay, well, I think you're going to go Incineroar to adapt. So Kilowattrel, you're back on the field.
Yeah, and even with the Basculegion being able to survive the Thunderbolt, like you said, it probably just doesn't feel, and it feels like Basculegion just doesn't feel that great when there's speed control on the field, right? Because it doesn't have the ability to protect. It's liable to spores. It's, it could take a lot of damage from both the Goldengo and the Ursaluna. So it feels like Incineroar is a little bit more consistent, but it becomes a liability if you feel forced to switch into Kilowattrel. So, yeah, it feels like Dylan is a little bit more in the driver's seat in terms of like what he wants to pick. But if he goes for the Incineroar Porygon 2 again and Zachary leads with Incineroar, that could be game ending on the spot, right? Like, it's very, very hard to come back from that because you don't have access to that fake out.
I'm trying to think, like, Alolan Ninetales, a Golden Go, you know, some of the Pokemon we haven't seen yet, can they really do that too much? And it's like, Alolan Ninetales is kind of cute, like, you run with the Life Orb Blizzard, but it's just so frail, right? And so, like, it doesn't feel very easy to bring, especially when you can, like, switch in Incineroar, you can switch in Porygon, you can switch in Golden Go, so I'm not sure I love it here. But, yeah, I think Dylan has a big decision to make right now in that, okay, I already revealed that I was willing to go with the Trick Room hand. Do I want to go for it again? Because Zachary certainly will be preparing for the 4 Pokemon you just brought.
Yeah, and I think the scary part for Dylan is that I think he has to commit. He can't go for the hybrid. I feel like when you're playing against like Tailwind teams, maybe you're like, okay, maybe I'll lead like Kilowattrel or Ursaluna to like get rid of my opponent's resources in the early game, and then I'll have like Porygon 2 and Incineroar on the back and like pick off the frail Pokemon my opponent has. But that is not the team that Zachary has, right? It's a lot of like really strong, bulky, like consistent Pokemon, and I don't think you can go for that hybrid approach. So what does he commit to? Does he commit to the Tailwind mode or does he commit to the Trick Room mode?
And one of the interesting things that I think Dylan has really impressed me with throughout the course of the tournament is this Ursaluna not necessarily needing the speed control to just like thrive, right? And it can just do a lot of damage. And part of the trickiness here is when you support it with Pokemon GO, Mungus, and Incineroar, there's always like something generally protecting it, right?
Yes.
And so like it just does a lot of damage. Once that Flame Orb activates, it feels like a timer, right? Where it can just like one-shot a lot of different Pokemon. But yeah, I think it's like definitely looking back at the Incineroar to potentially deal with it. I don't know. I'm like, I would love to see Ninetales come out here. Like Blizzard, it's like really good into Amoonguss and Ursaluna, but I feel like you could just get around it by like protecting something or tearing and then switching your Incineroar in, for example. So we will see. Does Zachary make the adjustment, bring in the Incineroar, which could certainly be handy? Does he commit to the same Pokemon and say, you know what, I'm just going to Terra a little bit differently this time around? And does Dylan make any adjustments? Game 3 here. Incineroar has started us off as we see an Amoonguss and Ursaluna from Dylan's end.
Yeah, great place for Incineroar to be in. First of all, getting that Intimidate drop onto the Ursaluna, so certainly not throwing a knockout this turn. And yeah, threatening the Grass Terra, able to, dodge the Spore that could potentially come out from the Amoonguss. Basculegion having the option to pivot with Flip Turn into another Pokemon like Rillaboom, which also seems very well positioned here. So I think Zachary definitely has some control here. How does Dylan pivot out of this?
Yeah, so I think like you can see the double protect, right? Where it's like, okay, once again, I am just going to see what Basculegion commits to. Zachary does a really nice play there. Ninetales actually came out! This is exactly what you want into Ursaluna and Amoonguss. Oh my goodness! Zachary said, look, I've seen you go for these double protects before. I am going to call you out on it. And that's exactly what he wants to see. You did not want to see a Spore go into that Basculegion slot. And this is so sick. Of course, the Incineroar is Grass Terra, has Taunt as well, so that's a way to shut down the Amoonguss. But hey, Blizzard is actually looking pretty good. You've got the Intimidate, and with the Ninetales being Ice type, the Snow definitely allows it to potentially survive an attack here. So this is so exciting. I can't believe it actually has made the appearance here. What a bold call here. But this is what I was saying, right? Yeah. Your way to get around the Ninetales is, okay, I can just like maybe pivot out. My Incineroar is going to be really good into you. But wow, Zachary going for the adjustments that we were like thinking about. And that turn 1 play, I love the hard call out of just switching immediately into Ninetales.
I think what I'm looking out for here is what does the Incineroar do here? Because I think, the Ninetales probably wants to attack, get some Terras out, get some switches out, but the Incineroar could go for a Taunt, which is a little bit more straightforward into the Amoonguss, or it could, pivot out, because as Dylan identifies, the Incineroar is actually really well positioned here, and if the Incineroar stays on Zachary's field here, it actually might not be a very good position, especially since it's liable to taking a lot of damage from this Ursaluna with its Guts activated. So let's see what happens here. The Terra Astralization is actually activated on the Ninetales, so losing access to the defense boost from the Snow in return for taking a lot less damage. Not taking the facade, but doing a lot of damage to the Ursaluna. What does the Incineroar go for? Does it double into the Ursaluna, or does it cover the Amoonguss with the Taunt?
Oh, it
goes
does.
For the Taunt. Okay. So the Ursaluna is able to attack this turn, but is it going to be able to make its mark here. It's going to be the headlong rush into the Incineroar, and it's knocked out. So one of the biggest tools that Zachary had into shutting down the Amoonguss, into shutting down the Porygon 2 is out for the count.
Yeah, Yuki, I really like your point about, like, what do you do with the Incineroar? Because Taunt is, like, the safe play. Dylan's like, you need to respect me, so I am going to switch into my Incineroar here. The Ursaluna, you can see Dylan was feeling probably a little bit nervous, right? Like, let's say you get doubled up into. I think the Ursaluna would have survived either a Flare Blitz or a knockoff anyway from Incineroar, but imagine if that was a parting shot, right? Suddenly it's -2 attack Ursaluna. Zachary goes for the Ghost Terra with the Ninetales, hoping to see a Facade into that slot, but Dylan making this incredible pivot into Incineroar and getting that knockout definitely puts himself into a decent position. However, that being said, right now you are staring down 2 Ghost-type Pokemon, right?
No fake out.
Exactly, no fake out. Basculegion here has a lot of offensive pressure as well.
So it might seem like the Incineroar is forced to Terastallize here to not get knocked out or take a ton of damage. Also able to potentially pivot, but it feels like that could put Dylan on a back foot. So only 10 seconds left. Dylan has to make a commitment here. What does he do? 5 seconds left. Oh, he's going for the knock on the Basculegion, but there's no Terastallization. So if the Basculegion opts to go for the Wave Crash here, it could be a huge knockout while also getting some critical damage onto this Porygon 2. Porygon 2 going to activate its download first, going to get this attack boost. Not super helpful.
It's just a Wave Crash into
the Basculegion, into the Incineroar, doing that big damage, getting that huge knockout. So it's going to be Porygon 2 versus the world. I anticipate a Blizzard coming out here from the Ninetales, but how much damage is it going to do? Ooh,
pretty good.
Pretty respectable
Does there freeze?
No freeze. But yeah, so at least the Amoonguss is able to come in here and do some support, be able to redirect the attacks from the Basculegion. So
it's got to be Trick Room and Rage Powder here, right?
But
okay, Water Terra. Yeah, that's right. Yep. So this is obviously a really good defensive tool right now. Feeling forced to go for the Rage Powder because otherwise Wave Crash plus Blizzard will just knock out the Porygon. So Zachary will be able to do a good amount of damage here, but you know what this opens up the door, Yuki? If Rillaboom is that final Pokemon and you've Terra'd the Amoonguss, this is what I was saying at the beginning. Now everything is liable to just these grass-type attacks from Rillaboom, and so Zachary making some really cool adjustments here with the Incineroar and Ninetales, and if Rillaboom indeed is that 4th and final Pokemon, he'll be really well positioned. I think even if Trick Room goes up, the other thing we have to think about is this is Blizzard, right? And if Blizzard gets a freeze onto a Porygon doesn't get to set up Trick Room, could be an absolute nightmare. So Dylan is going to go for this defensive Terra with the Amoonguss. Water Terra so well positioned into these 2 Pokemon that will not be doing very effective damage. But the key thing here is, are there any freezes this turn?
First, we see the Rage Powder animation having high priority here. Going to take Basculegion's attack on behalf of Porygon 2. Wave Crash going into the Amoonguss, going to be not as effective. Still doing a really respectable amount of damage. Not going to proc the Citrus Berry, but here comes the...
it's just Moonblast.
Okay, so reading into that Terastallization. So no Blizzard freeze opportunities here, so Porygon 2 going to safely get that Trick Room up, but as you said, Aaron, this Amoonguss is now going to be liable to a Grassy Glide from the Rillaboom that could be in the back. However, it's not on the field right now, so Dylan can take advantage of this one turn to potentially do some recovers, get some spores.
This is a big turn for Dylan, right? I think, like, the tides have turned a little bit here where because that Terra was saved on the Amoonguss, like, it allows you to just go for this safe play. And, like, Moonblast is nice, right? It kind of covers for the Terra, but it doesn't really do that much at the end of the day. Fundamentally, Alolan Ninetales' base special attack is just not that high. And so, like you said, Yuki, prime opportunity to potentially go for a Spore right now. And so if you're in Zachary's shoes, you might be like, okay, I'm going to protect the Ninetales, pivot in Rillaboom right now. If Rillaboom is the final Pokemon, like, I think that probably feels the strongest, but no, it's Ninetales switching out.
The straightforward play would have been the protect and switch in the Rillaboom, but Zachary said, yeah, I bet you're going to try to read that, so I'm going to bring the Rillaboom into the proc. That could protect. Is this going to work out for him? Because if the Spore goes into the Basculegion slot, so Dylan going one step ahead and putting the Basculegion to sleep. Let's see, this Porygon 2 opting to go for the Ice Beam into the Rillaboom.
Calls it perfectly.
For Dylan, is there going to be any freezes over here? A critical hit. And yes, looks like no freezes, but now the Rillaboom's still a menace to this Amoonguss.
Yeah, that turn was absolutely huge though, right? It felt like a coin flip, and the obvious play kind of felt like you switch the Basculegion out because, like, it's under Trick Room, right? And had it been just kind of the regular obvious play, then the Zachary, I think, would be better positioned where, like, you don't eat up the sleep and you end up forcing, like, a lot of pressure here. But I think Dylan right now is in the driver's seat.
Yes. I think my question for me here is the Rillaboom Grassy Glide going to pick up the Amoonguss?
Yeah.
Because if it can, then there's going to be less healing opportunities for this for this Porygon 2, and the Porygon 2 doesn't have good damage source into this Basque Legion, so if the Basque Legion can wake up this turn, the tides could really turn for Zach, but right now it does feel like Dylan's in the driver's seat. What happens?
Grassy Glide doesn't do enough! It survives! 7 HP and a dream!
This is huge. It's like a big Pollen Puff going to heal the Porygon 2 and being able to attack the exact same turn, going for the Ice Beam onto the Rillaboom. Did over half the first time, but it's going to survive barely in the rest.
Basque Legion wakes
up! Big wake up onto the Wave Crash into the Amoonguss, going to be able to pick it off. Now it's going to be a 2v3, but there's still going to be 3 turns of Trick Room left.
Oh my goodness, this is so tense. The Basque Legion does manage to wake up, secures that knockout. Rillaboom is so low. Even with that critical hit earlier, though, able to survive 2 Ice Beams. Ursaluna is so low here as well. 1 Grassy Glide will just finish it off. So can Porygon actually pull this off? Basque Legion being able to wake up critically was so huge. I was thinking there was the ability to maybe go for Ice Beam and Pollen Puff to knock out the Rillaboom, right? Rillaboom sticking around is actually just so bad for Ursaluna right now because, yeah, there's these turns of Trick Room left, but you can just keep clicking Grassy Glide into that slot. So, of course, the way to get around this is, let's go for a Protect and then just Ice Beam into Rillaboom, but then the Zachary call that and switch out the Rillaboom back out into Ninetales.
That's the big one. The obvious move is to go for the Ice Beam and the Protect here, but let's see what happens. Zach switches out the Basque Legion for the Ninetales, going to set up the Snow to get more accurate Blizzards later on, but what does the Rillaboom do? Ursaluna goes for the Protect. Does Rillaboom go for the Grassy Glide to get a little bit more chip onto this Porygon 2? No, it does not. So Porygon 2 most likely going to be able to pick off this Rillaboom. And with the lack of priority, actually there is a priority.
There is one last move,
Jet.
Yuki, Aqua Jet, yeah, but is it enough, right? Because then you're committing to Aqua Jet for the rest of the game. That's not going to do a lot of damage. This is so tense. I think, like, can Porygon do enough damage, right? Because right now, you get to bring out that Basque Legion. Trick Room is up, but you can Aqua Jet into Ursaluna, and then it's essentially a 2v1. But Porygon, can it get through both of these Pokemon? I'm not sure it can.
Yeah, Porygon 2 just notoriously bad matchup into Basque Legion, right? Like if you had like Terra Fairy and Terra Blast, then you can hit some neutral damage, but you have Terra Blast, which does no damage to Basque Legion, and it's Ice Beam, which is resisted. And both these Pokemon are really, really healthy, so Aqua Jet seems really, really safe here. And the Ninetales also has a relatively respectable special defense stat, so I don't know if 2 Ice Beams are going to be enough, especially with the Grassy Terrain recovery, but we see the Ninetales go for the Protect here, not wanting to take the Ice Beam under Trick Room. Let's see if the Aqua Jet comes out. Is it going to be a knockout? It's going to knock out the Ursaluna here, so it's going to be a 2v1 against the Porygon. Can the Porygon clutch it up here for Dylan?
Oh my goodness, like, you now obviously are committed to Aqua Jet. That's not going to do a ton of damage, but it's non-trivial either, right? For Dylan, like what it feels like he needs to do is basically knock out the Ninetales, but it's going to take a couple of attacks to get there. Zachary, I don't think is going to be doing a ton of damage either, but the snow is up. Your odds of getting a freeze from Blizzard are decent. Freeze, critical hit right now. Moonblast, of course, can get drops as well. Here's the first Aqua Jet. It's not bad damage. That's very respectable. Yeah.
Blizzard coming out first.
So much.
First freeze chance. Okay. Still above 50%. Ice Beam from Porygon 2. This might be the last chance.
A lot of critical hits.
Freeze gonna happen. No freeze. Okay. Is the Aqua Jet plus Blizzard?
It's not gonna get the knockout, but you're not gonna do enough in return, right? Like, I think Zachary's got this.
Does it go for recover though?
You could recover, yeah. Oh my goodness, and then like keep recovering to stall out the snow so that the Blizzards aren't accurate anymore. I thought, yeah, maybe there was the potential to just go for Trick Room 1 turn earlier as well. I actually think if you click Trick Room right now, you just lose because Aqua Jet into Blizzard into Aqua Jet gets the knockout. So I don't think this is
Trick Room cannot be the option. You have to go for recover or Ice Beam, saying you're either gonna freeze or KO the Ninetales. But oh man, it's coming down to the wire here, folks. Is Zachary going to be able to overwhelm Dylan, or is the Porygon 2 going to be able to outlast these two Pokemon?
That was a lot of critical hit! That might have just done it!
Is the Blizzard going to advance the job? 4 HP!
The Porygon survives still!
Recover!
Oh my goodness! You can see Zachary felt like he had the regional championship title under his belt. It's not enough. You can keep healing up with Porygon right now. The Ninetales is so low. You need at least one more Ice Beam. Dylan's looking to just keep healing himself up. He's got to avoid more crits. He's got to avoid freezes from this Ninetales, but it feels so tense. I would give the advantage to Zachary right now.
But one thing that Zachary could do is encore the Porygon 2. It can't attack anymore if it does that, and it also avoids any kind of Life Orb chip that the Ninetales will go through, so that could be a win condition. And yeah, but at the same time, do you want to go for that PP stall here? We see the Basque Legion go for the Aqua Jet. We see another Blizzard come out for the Porygon 2. Surprise on 8 HP. Another Life Orb tick, slowly wearing down the Ninetales. Another recover from Porygon 2. Surely this Porygon will be able to outlast both of those Pokemon without any kind of secondary effects or critical hit. Porygon 2, 4 more HP than it started in the last turn. It's coming down so close, folks.
I mean, it's got to be the Encore, right? Like, the Ninetales is KOing stuff. I think that's exactly it right now. And, I mean, now you definitely don't want to be clicking Blizzard, right? So here's the Aqua Jet. I don't think Moonblast gets the knockout here. Yep, there it is.
There's Encore. But what's interesting here, though, Aaron, is that the recover will keep happening. But once Recover's PP is gone, the Ninetales won't be able to Encore it anymore.
Yeah.
So it can keep attacking, and that means the Porygon's going to be back at full HP, right? So does this actually advance the board state for Zach? I don't know.
This is actually crazy. The fact that the crit happened and the Porygon still managed to hang on is absolutely wild. I find Encore endgames to always be one of the most stressful situations, right?
Absolutely.
Because are you keeping track of the PP? At the turn that the Encore runs out, where are we in the game state as well? So another Aqua Jet comes out. It's Blizzard. It actually just hits. Okay.
Doesn't freeze. Doesn't come out. Oh, man. So Recover is going to basically get the Porygon 2 back to full health. I think from Zachary's perspective, you don't want to click the move that could knock you out,
yes,
right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
If
like
you're less than 10%, you can't click the move.
This Life Orb is not helping out the Ninetales right now. Ninetales goes for the Protect. This is absolutely nuts right now, folks. Another Aqua Jet comes out. Oh my goodness, Recover. Another one out, but it is very, very low on PP right now.
Aaron, you know what I think is going to happen? I think the Porygon 2 is going to have to run out of Recover.
Yep.
And then the Ninetales is going to be able to get one last attack off before it gets knocked out by Life Orb. And then it's going to be the Basque Legion locked into Aqua Jet versus Porygon 2 and doing Ice Beam. So who is going to be able to out-damage who?
Oh my goodness. This is so crazy. Encore comes out again. So this is, like you said, going to be the final sequencing, right? We've got a couple of recovers left. Like you said, Ninetales will get one more attack up. But I think that's exactly it, Yuki. It's going to be Basque Legion into Porygon 2 in this 1v1 trade-off at the end of the day. And I wonder if that Blizzard earlier was a mistake. If like it could have maybe gotten an extra attack off after the Recover was stalled out.
Yeah, exactly. Because now the Ninetales has to think about, okay, do I want to attack to get more damage off, or do I want to force the Porygon to attack me so that I have one more opportunity for the Basque Legion to attack?
Oh, here we go. It is the last recover. You can't go for anything else.
Does Zachary remember this? Does he remember how much PP that the Porygon 2 has? Because if he goes for an Encore this following turn, that could be a waste of a move, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
oh my goodness.
So here on out, all damage onto this Porygon 2 is going to be permanent. There is no more recovery left. So what I have my eyes on here is, what is the Ninetales going to go for? Maybe Blizzard's better, right? Because even if you miss, you don't actually care too much.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Aqua Jet comes out.
Okay.
Oh, wait, for the Encore again. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Fails it.
So here goes the Ice Beam into the Ninetales, going to knock it out. I see Dylan celebrating here, but is that actually enough? There's no recovery options. Ice Beam does really little damage to this Basque Legion.
This is so tense. I think it's going to be, it's like, what, 32? So, like, 5 Aqua Jets will do it. Here's Aqua Jet number 1. How much does Porygon 2 do in return? Ice Beam comes out into Basque Legion. That's not a
respectable
I think
amount
this
of
favors
damage,
Basque Legion,
but no secondary effects here. It's just going to beat these two folks
going
clicking these buttons. What's going to happen? Ice Beam coming out.
It's not enough. It's not enough. You need a freeze right now.
You need a freeze.
Oh.
They're both around 60%, but Basque Legion's faster, so Porygon 2 has to get a critical hit or has to get a freeze. Here's one more opportunity for that. What does it do?
Oh, still no freeze.
Oh my goodness, Zachary.
68 down to 38. Needs 2 more.
Needs 2 more here. Here comes the Ice Beam.
Still no freeze. Still no critical hit.
No freeze.
This is it. This is the last chance.
Basque Legion, if it doesn't have a critical hit here, it's gonna not KO this Porygon 2. Oh man, Dylan is timing the moment. He's saying, you know, I want to click the right moment for the freeze to activate. I'm waiting for that right moment. 30 seconds left. Oh man.
It all comes down to this. Will Porygon 2 be able to get a freeze onto Basque Legion? I don't even think a critical hit does it.
Aqua Jet crit, no. This Porygon 2, is it going to get the freeze?
Ice Beam into Basque Legion, does not get the knockout. Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness!
The freeze chance. Basque Legion can still fall out right now. It stays frozen. It stays frozen. Oh my goodness! 7 years after his first regional championship title, Porygon gets the one opportunity to freeze, and he claims the title. Yuki, I can't speak right now. I literally cannot speak.
is so crazy. Dylan, congratulations. What a reaction. So deserved for how hard he fought. How
You
many times got lucky.
you called it, the encore. Were you counting? If that was a moonblast,
Yes,
that would have given you the damage, so that it didn't come down to that.
Oh my goodness.